Howdy. I'm going to be playing through the Zombicide Black Plague core quest line, and today what I wanted to do is go ahead and go over with you which characters are going to be completing these quests and why I chose them to be in my party. So I wanted to start by letting you know I have 2 abominations, I have 3 necromancers that are going to be on the missions, and I'm playing with the zombie bosses, and that's a lot to deal with. And I'm going to talk to you about some of the decisions I made and why I made them. When I formed this party, I was going for utility, and I was also going for early access to 3 damage, but I didn't like starting the game with 3 damage, because then if a normal abomination spawns early in the game, you just go ahead and run up with your hammer and boom, he's dead. So I do have some 3 damage stuff that comes up pretty early, but at level 1, all my characters that can get to 3 damage have to work for it. And I don't like just being given 3 damage. But there's going to be 5 abominations on the map, and you just can't deal with that with just fire and dragon bile. Alright, let's get it going. Oh, and the reason why I don't think 3 damage is not game breaking when you're playing with zombie bosses, the troll has to be killed with dragon fire. And when I play the missions that require you to kill an abomination, I'm going to change the rule instead of killing a abomination to kill a troll abomination. That way I'm still required to find and use dragon fire as the game was initially designed. Alright, let's go through my melee characters first. The first one that I chose is Anne. I like Anne. She's really cool. Bloodlust is awesome. Being able to move 2 squares and attack, I just love that ability. So she's always been one of my favorites. And although that's really cool, another thing that makes her awesome is her backpack slot is a dagger. So if she starts dual wielding, or if she just finds an early dagger, she can start hitting a lot more often in addition to having all that mobility. And when she levels up, she can get a free magic action or melee action. She's not really focused into just one. She could be a pretty good magic user as well, but I'm going to be using her as a melee, so I'll take the +1 free melee action. At her final level, she gets +1 free combat action, +1 to dice roll combat. That covers both sides of combat, which is pretty cool. Well, I guess all 3 sides. And if you roll a 6, you get an extra die. All of those things are cool. It's probably going to be very situational which one I choose. So if I lost both my spellcasters, she could become my spellcaster. But I have to know that pretty early on, so I don't think that's going to happen. She's going to be one of my melees. Alright, let's move on to my next melee decision. I talked about this girl in one of my other videos. I went ahead and gave her the hammer. I could have given the hammer to Anne. It really doesn't matter. I'm not sure. I may give the hammer to Anne in my videos when I get around to it. But let's talk about why this girl is so awesome. So, she's going to start with an axe. I didn't pull the card already, but she starts with an axe. It's going to be right here. Early game, wherever she goes, I won't have to worry about rolling to open a door. It's just going to open. And that's pretty amazing. And she has the utility to kill a fatty if she's holding the hammer. She can either use her axe, she can use her hammer. It's very situational, so you get some choices early in. These pegs shouldn't be here. But she gets some choices early on which weapon to use. I like that. And there's going to be some scary stuff running around in the missions I'm playing. So if I need to run, I really like the door just to open. Alright, she gets an extra activation. She gets +1 damage on melee. This is what I'm talking about, early access to 3 damage. Yeah, she can get it if she's successful in getting to the orange the orange danger level before she dies. But with all the A-bombs and necros running around, it's going to be difficult to get to that level before you start being very scared and running from things. So I have to do work if I want her to be able to get 3 damage. And Reaper melee is cool, but nothing compared to 3 damage. So that's why I gave her the hammer, is because I want her getting to that 1+ damage. And since I'm trying to level her faster, I want her to be able to kill fatties when she encounters them to get that experience. For her final, she gets +1 die combat. That's amazing. Free combat action. That's cool. Taunt, being able to move zombies towards me to help my friends. All of those are cool. She again has a red danger level that is going to be very versatile. I'll get choices on what I need at the time when I'm playing the mission. So it's not guaranteed as what I'm going to pick. But for orange, I can't see not taking +1 damage. So this is one of my 3 damage characters, but again, she has to earn it. And here's her model. All right, now let's do my range characters. We're going to go through this. Genevieve, she can hold a crossbow in her extra slot. I gave her a bow. She has +1 damage to ranged. So at level 1, she already has a weapon that can do 2 damage, kind of like the hammer. But it can't do 3 damage. I either have to find a 2 damage crossbow. I can't remember if there is one offhand. I know that the artifact, the orcish crossbow, is 2 damage, which would push it to 3 for her, which is really awesome. But that means I have to go find a key, probably, get into a vault artifact while everything's trying to kill me, while skirting abominations. I have to do a lot of work to get to 3 damage. And like I said, that's something I really like. I don't like it just given. All right, let's talk about the rest of what she's got. All right, +1 die ranged. So when she actually gets to that orcish crossbow, she'll be able to roll 3 dice with it. It's a 3+. It's going to hit really hard. +1 free action ranged. That's pretty cool too. It's a toss-up on what I would take. I'm thinking probably because you have to shoot, reload, shoot, reload, shoot. Let's see. If I don't take the extra action, I get to attack twice, 6 attacks. If I do take the extra action, sorry, if I take the extra die, I only have 4 actions, so I'd get to shoot twice and then have something free to do, which is still 6 attacks. So I would probably take +1 die ranged. All right, she has +1 die combat in the red threat level, which is even more amazing. She has +1 free combat action, +1 dice to a roll. I like +1 dice to a roll or +1 die combat. If she had +1 dice to a roll, she'd be hitting on 2s with the crossbow. I don't know which one I'd rather chance it with. I'd have to run the numbers between having an extra combat action for another toss or having only a 16% chance to miss. So I need to run the numbers, but her red threats are pretty awesome, and she is purple, and here's her model. All right, my next range character we all know and love. He's Silas. And I really wish there were 2 starting ranged weapons because he has +1 to die roll ranged. If that means with a short bow or the orcish crossbow, he's hitting on 2s at level 1. That's awesome. But the reason he does not get the bow is because the other person's the character I'm trying to get to orange faster. I want her to have the chance of hitting in someone's cell or not somebody's cell, and she can kill fatties, and my goal is to level her faster. So he's stuck with a sword. But it kind of fits his theme because he's wielding a sword right here, and he can put a sword, a normal sword, in his equipment slot. Let's see, what else does he get? +1 free ranged action, that's pretty cool. Point blank. I have no idea what point blank does. I haven't played enough to really get too into the game. I know the rules pretty good now, but I don't know all the special rules for characters. So let's look up what point blank is. Point blank. The survivor can resolve ranged and magic actions in his zones, no matter the minimum range. When resolving magic or ranged actions at 0, the survivor freely chooses the targets. Oh, that's cool. And can kill any type of zombies. His combat hits and ranged spells still need to inflict damage to kill his targets. Misses don't hurt survivors. So it's kind of like a marksman at range 0 and giving you the added benefit of letting things that don't have a 0 range be able to be... Like, for example, a good example of this, we'll go back to the orcish crossbow. We look at the orcish crossbow, under its range component, it's 1 to 2. 0, it's the same weapon, but it's a stabby weapon. And you might be, well, who cares? I'll just use the stabby version. No, point blank is pretty cool because then he can use the ranged version at cell 0, not hit his teammates, and get that +1 to a dice roll. That's why it might be a good option to take that one. So I'm kind of up in the air over which one of these I like more. For his threat, his red threat, or his red danger, he gets +1 die ranged, cool, +1 free combat action, or Iron Rain. I haven't had him up to the red danger level, but let's look at what Iron Rain is. That just sounds pretty cool. Iron Rain. When resolving ranged actions, the survivor may substitute the dice number of his ranged weapons he uses with the number of zombies in the target zone. Oh, wow. Skills affecting the dice value, like +1 die ranged, still apply. Wow. If you have a square with 15 zombies in it, and he's just got a normal bow, he could lay waste to them. Or if he has something that does 2 damage, that's just for 1 action. He substitutes it. He can decimate a square. That's an amazing ability. All right, now let's look at my 2 spellcasters. Stakar. She can be used as a necromancer if you have the cards. I don't, because I'm borrowing her from a friend, and I do not actually have the necromancer cards, but I wouldn't use her as a necromancer because she's part of my party. So I gave her Mana Blast because, I don't know, I just like her a little more than my other spellcaster, I think. They're both really good. But she has Zombie Link. Zombie Link's amazing. Anytime you draw +1 activation for for any zombie type, she gets a full turn. An entire turn to do whatever she wants. So if she had something like Inferno, during the enemy turn before they take their extra action, you get to do Inferno for 4 or 5 times depending on what ability she buys. You can decimate entire squares, maybe more than entire squares. You could decimate everything around you. You could decimate everything in your square. She could drop huge amounts of damage. And if they pulled, or if an Abomination's about to get her, she could run. She could run really fast. So Zombie Link's pretty awesome, but she's the only character I chose to bring with Zombie Link. +1 action, +1 free move action. So-so on move actions. It is one of my favorite listed actions, like if you want to do something, because generally in a turn, I at least move 1 square with my guys, so that's pretty much free action because I just use that first. Spellbook's pretty awesome though. It's going to be hard to pass up Spellbook if she gets Inferno. Alright, +1 free combat action at red, +1 dice roll to magic, making Inferno hit on a 3+. Hit and run, if I kill something successfully in my square, I get to leave it without paying additional costs, and that move out of that square is free. She has lots of cool choices, and if you just give her actions, she gets 3 actions. Here she could get a 4th spell action, here she could get a 5th spell action, and those free turns would just decimate huge squads of undead. Oh, and her extra equipment slot can hold speed instead of armor, and that's pretty cool. I like that spell. This character can hold transmutation. Oh, I didn't show you the cool model for the other girl. This is the model we were just looking at. Sorry, the character we were just looking at. This is her model. It's pretty cool. This model's not quite as cool, but the character's still pretty awesome. Alright, this slot may hold a transmutation instead. That's cool. I like transmutation. It's kind of like a free search. Alright, she gets +1 die combat. So this sword would actually roll 2 dice, which is pretty cool. And if she were dual wielding Mana Blasts, she could cast like 4 times. She's pretty awesome. But she's still probably not my character that I would give my artifact to, because Inferno's awesome, and with Zombie Link, getting free full turns with Inferno is amazing. +1 action's pretty awesome, +1 free melee action. See, she's a cross between a caster and a melee and spellcaster, but I'm probably going to be using her as a spellcaster unless I don't find a whole lot of good spells. in which case I'll use her as a melee. So depending on how my drawing's going will depend on what I do with this. In her final level, she gets Iron Rain. She can Iron Rain with magic spells. That's pretty cool. Any decent spell becomes awesome. She could put, what is it, Death Bolt or something like that. She could use that and toss sick amounts of dies at damage 2 as a good backup caster. So I would probably go with that. So Iron Rain. Let me make sure Iron Rain can be used as a spell. Nope, ranged action. That's why she gets Mana Rain, I guess. Mana Rain, resolving, may substitute number of dice of the combat spell he uses with a number standing in that. Okay, so Mana Rain is Iron Rain for spells. Iron Rain is bows, which I don't really see why she would get that ability, because it looks like she's good at melee or spells. Yeah, her +1 combat's good for anything, but it seems like most of her stuff is focused towards magic or melee. So I don't think I'd ever pick Iron Rain, unless all my range guys were dead. Finally, I have Shove. Shove's pretty awesome. Push zombies away from you 1 cell into a valid square. You can't push through a wall, through a rampart, or anything like that, or a closed door. But being able to push your enemies away can be very, very useful. So I tried to pick characters that had some utility. This is my squad that I'll be taking. And I guess thank you for watching. Soon, hopefully, I'll be running some of these missions again. The reason I'm recording some other videos that aren't gameplay videos today is I'm not very satisfied with my camera equipment, and I got new camera equipment coming in. Alright, if when I was going through the cards, if I messed up a rule or something doesn't work exactly the same way I thought it does, please let me know, and maybe I'll consider changing the character in the party, or it would just be nice to know a rule better if I had messed it up. Alright, thanks.